New York. They say the city never sleeps, but tonight, it felt as if somewhere deep in its heart, a profound silence reigned. Rain fell gently, the dim glow of streetlights lost amid the shimmering droplets. On nights like this, an eerie chill settles inside, and the feelings of loneliness and being lost grow stronger. Anna was walking the streets of New York on just such a night, but she wasn't unfamiliar with the chaos and confusion of the city. Yet tonight was different. Tonight, a persistent anxiety gripped her heart. Michael, her brother. He had been missing for a week. She had done everything she could to find him. She had asked his friends, involved the police, but no one had heard from Michael. This situation had already planted a seed of doubt in Anna's mind. This wasn't an ordinary disappearance. The first clue regarding Michael's disappearance had come a week ago, with a midnight phone call. That night, Anna had been drifting off to sleep when the sharp ringing of the phone startled her. Half asleep, she reached for the phone and glanced at the screen, feeling relieved when she saw that it was Michael calling. But her relief was short-lived, as Michael's voice was far from normal. He was whispering, his tone filled with fear and anxiety. "Anna, don't try to find me. It might be too late." "What does that mean, Michael? Where are you? What happened to you? Stop now, before he finds you." Then silence. That night, the silence on the other end of the line had engulfed her entirely, and for a week now that silence had echoed inside Anna. Michael had never returned. That voice kept reverberating in the hallways of Anna's mind, constantly reminding her that she had to find her brother. But how? Michael had vanished, and there were no real clues, only scattered thoughts, a few notes, and the nervous voice on the phone. One question kept ringing in Anna's mind. Where is Michael? Anna's journalistic instincts had always pushed her to chase after clues. She was a story hunter, but this time the story was personal. She went to where everything had started, Michael's apartment. It was small and neat. Michael was always tidy and meticulous. He avoided creating chaos in his surroundings. But the orderliness of the apartment made his long absence even more puzzling. None of his personal belongings were missing from the drawers. His keys, wallet, phone, everything was in its place. Anna carefully looked at Michael's desk. His computer was open. The screen had gone dark, but it looked like something had been left unfinished. She tapped a few keys to wake it up, and the screen lit up, revealing several open files. They were all related to Michael's recent research. Strange names, city plans, old newspaper clippings. But what caught her attention most was a name, Jonathan Blake. Something clicked in Anna's mind. She had heard this name before. But where? Why did it seem so familiar? Who was this man, and why was Michael investigating him? Taking a deep breath, Anna knew she had to follow the trail of Jonathan Blake. But first, she had to notify the police. This wasn't something she could handle alone. After reporting the situation to the police, Anna found herself in the office of Detective James. James, in his early 50s, carried the weight of years on his shoulders. His eyes bore the deep wisdom and experience of a man who had seen it all. He had solved countless cases in the city, uncovering secrets in its darkest corners. But this case felt different. After Anna explained the details of Michael's disappearance, James had listened silently. For a long time, he didn't say anything. Then, leaning back in his chair, he let out a deep sigh, his eyes distant. What your brother was chasing could be dangerous. What do you mean? Anna asked, unable to hide the worry in her voice. Some people want to disappear, Anna. Others are taken. Your brother might be caught in both. James seemed to know more about Michael's research than he let on. It was as if he already had an idea of what was going on. Anna felt uneasy about the detective's demeanor. There was a strange look in his eyes. She had the sense that James was withholding something important about Michael. "There's a name," Anna said, struggling to keep her voice steady. "Jonathan Blake. Michael must have found something about him." James frowned at the mention of the name. "Blake," he said. If he's involved, Michael could be in real danger. Who is Blake? Anna asked impatiently. He's one of the city's shadows, James began. His name is hardly ever spoken, but the power he holds in the darkness is always felt. No one comes face to face with him directly, but wherever Blake's name surfaces, there's always illegal activity. He's one of the most dangerous men in the city. Anna's heart sank further. Why was her brother entangled with such a dangerous man? If Michael was chasing Blake, he must have uncovered something significant, but that discovery had led him into deep trouble. James gave her one last look before adding, "This could end badly. If you're determined to dig deeper, there might be no way back." "I'll do whatever it takes," Anna replied, her eyes full of determination. "I have to find Michael." Anna's next step was to find Michael's ex-girlfriend, Sarah. She was the last person to have spoken with him before he disappeared. They met at a small cafe. Sarah was nervous, fidgeting with her hands on the table, her eyes avoiding Anna's. It was clear she was scared too. "Michael spoke to you last," Anna said, getting straight to the point. Sarah hesitated, her eyes filling with tears. "He was acting strange that night. He said he found something, but he didn't explain what. He just said, 'You're in danger.' He didn't give me any more details. The only thing he mentioned was a name." Anna's heart began to race. "What name?" she asked. "Jonathan Blake." That name echoed in Anna's mind once again. Everything revolved around Jonathan Blake. But who was this man? Why was Michael after him? "What happened next?" Anna asked, hoping for more information. "I never saw him again. He didn't answer my calls. He disappeared that night," Sarah said, her fear growing. Anna took a deep breath. Jonathan Blake. The name terrified her, but there was no other option. If she was going to find her brother, she had to follow this man's trail. The next day, Anna met with Detective James again. They had begun tracking Blake's movements, but this task was far more dangerous than they had imagined. Blake had a mysterious influence over the city. His name was rarely mentioned, yet his presence was felt in every corner. Anna and James examined a map of the city, tracing various locations connected to Blake. There were several properties linked to him scattered across different parts of the city. But which one could Michael be in? "You need to be careful with this," James warned, looking at Anna. "Blake is a dangerous man. Once you step into his world, it's not easy to get out." Anna listened silently. She was afraid, but her determination to find her brother outweighed everything else. Knowing that Michael was in danger gave her the strength she needed. Following Blake's trail led Anna and James to the outskirts of the city, to an isolated area. Here, there was an old mansion believed to be owned by Blake. The mansion was eerie even from a distance. Its size, its dark atmosphere, and its abandoned feel made Anna's skin crawl. Inside, the heavy wooden doors creaked open. The mansion was empty, but the oppressive feeling that hung in the air was a sign that something was deeply wrong. The old rugs, dark corridors, and dusty portraits. Everything was in its place, but at the same time, it all felt out of place. As Anna and James explored the mansion, they descended into the basement, where they were met with an unexpected sight. Scattered across a table were documents related to Michael's research, old maps, symbols, and mysterious writings. As Anna sifted through them, she realized that Michael had been onto something big. Her brother's disappearance wasn't just a random incident. A much deeper, darker secret lay behind it. As footsteps echoed from the dark corners of the basement, Anna's heart began to race. James reacted swiftly, drawing his gun, but before they could react, a tall, shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. "Jonathan Blake." "Welcome," Blake said, his tone cold and self-assured. "Michael told me you'd come." The threat in Blake's voice made Anna realize that things were about to get much more complicated. Her brother had to be nearby, but in what state? The darkness in Blake's eyes felt suffocating. "Why did you take Michael?" "What are you after?" Anna demanded, keeping her gaze fixed on Blake. Michael learned too much, and now he's paying the price, Blake replied, as if discussing a trivial matter. I offer you the same choice, Anna. You can either turn a blind eye and leave, or learn everything and face the consequences. But remember, every choice comes with a price. At that moment, Anna caught sight of Michael bound in a corner. He looked weak and exhausted, but consciousness still flickered in his eyes. When he saw Anna, a spark of hope lit up within him, but it was brief. Blake's words reminded her of the grim reality. Things here were not as straightforward as they seemed. If you harm him, Anna began, but Blake interrupted her. I've already harmed him, he said, grinning. But the real issue isn't about causing harm. It's about knowing. Some things should never come to light, Anna. Michael realized that too late. I hope you understand before it's too late for you. Anna's mind was in turmoil. What secret was Blake referring to? What had Michael discovered? And now, was this burden of knowledge about to be placed on her shoulders as well? The atmosphere in the mansion's basement was suffocating, making it hard to breathe. The darkness mixed with the musty smell seeping from the walls, creating a mysterious unease underground. When Anna saw her brother Michael bound, a swirl of anger and fear coursed through her. Michael looked in bad shape. His eyes were sunken, his face pale, and his lips dry. But he was still alive. He shot Anna a weak glance. Michael, Anna whispered, stepping toward him. But Jonathan Blake's sharp voice halted her. Don't come any closer, Blake warned, holding a knife dangerously close to Michael's throat. Everything is in your hands, Anna. You can either escape this place or stay here forever. Anna's heart raced as her mind scrambled for a solution. Detective James was cautiously reaching for his weapon beneath his coat, but Blake had already noticed his movements. Oh, detective, Blake mocked with a grin. You may be quick, but this time you're not quick enough. No one here needs to be a hero. Anna observed Blake carefully. He appeared calm and self-assured, yet there was a concealed anxiety in his eyes. He knew the situation was critical. Michael was still under Blake's threat, and one wrong move could ruin everything. Blake took a step back, slowly lowering the knife but never taking his eyes off Anna. I have a proposition for you, Anna. If you truly care about your brother, you'll stay out of this. You will not step into Blake's world. You will leave him here and walk away. Otherwise, you'll all be lost. Anna felt the threat behind Blake's words. But leaving her brother behind? That was never an option. She knew Blake was trying to force her into a difficult choice. But Anna was resolute. She would get Michael out of this place no matter what. As Blake's attention briefly wavered, James seized the opportunity. He quickly drew his weapon, aiming for the knife in Blake's hand, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed in the basement, momentarily freezing everything. The knife flew from Blake's grip and fell to the ground as he staggered back. At that moment, Anna sprang into action. Now! James shouted. Anna dashed towards Michael, her hands trembling as she began to cut his bindings. Michael's eyes were half closed, but he was regaining consciousness. As she freed him, she realized just how weak he was. She wanted to lift him immediately, but his body felt fragile. Anna supported him against her shoulder. Hang on, Michael. We're getting out of here, she whispered. Just then, Blake had regained his composure. As he staggered backward, several of his men rushed down into the basement, armed and ready, making Blake look even more dangerous. You're going to push this to the end, aren't you? Blake hissed, a wild fury flashing in his eyes. I offered you a choice, but now things will get messier. Blake's men were advancing quickly toward the entrance of the basement. Their escape routes were closing. Detective James stepped forward to protect Anna and Michael, aiming his weapon and firing a few shots at the approaching men. The sound of gunfire reverberated through the basement, thickening the air. One of Blake's men fell to the ground, momentarily halting the others. This was enough of a window for Anna to make her move. We need to get out of here, Anna said, holding on to Michael. James quickly grasped the situation and directed them toward the exit. Come on now! Struggling to carry Michael, Anna made her way through the dark corridors of the basement, heading toward the main entrance. Blake's men were on their heels. As the gunshots continued to echo, every step felt crucial. The ground floor, while brighter than the basement, still felt dark and menacing. Anna tried to steady her racing heart as they approached the mansion's front door. James kept watch behind them, aiming his weapon at the men pursuing them. But they were outnumbered, and Blake's men were closing in fast. "Anna! We need to reach the exit," James urged, his eyes resolute yet anxious. "Okay, we're almost there," Anna replied, breathless as she continued to carry her brother. Finally, they reached the front door of the mansion. The rusty hinges creaked as they forced it open, and as they stepped outside, Anna took a deep breath. The rain had intensified and the cold air hit their faces. For a moment, they felt safe in the open space, but that didn't mean the danger had passed. As Blake's men approached the door, James quickly turned to Anna. "Get out. There's a vehicle waiting for you. I'll hold them off." "Durnofu," Anna shot him a grateful look. Then, still carrying Michael, she ran toward the waiting vehicle away from the mansion. The rain had turned the ground to mud, but she pressed on for her brother. Despite being weak and exhausted, Michael had a glimmer of light in his eyes. He had survived, but the threat of Blake still loomed over them like a dark cloud. As Blake's men exited the door, James fired a few more shots, pushing them back momentarily. But he knew he couldn't hold out for long. As soon as Anna and Michael reached the vehicle, they climbed inside quickly. Anna started the engine and pressed the gas pedal. The car sped down the dark road. Inside the vehicle, silence fell. The only sounds were the engine's roar and the rain pounding outside. Anna glanced back at Michael for a moment. He struggled to keep his eyes open, but he was there. He was with her. They had escaped Blake's grasp. Yet one question lingered in Anna's mind. Was this really the end? If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. Stay tuned for new content. Exciting stories and thrilling moments are waiting for you.